Good afternoon, everyone. This is your daily news report and fourth stimulus package update. I will be going over how soon a fourth round of stimulus payments could be sent out to millions of Americans. Please make sure to watch until the end of this video. It will be months before the IRS has processed 2020 tax returns and issued necessary refunds. The agency has faced a crippling backlog, which stood at nearly 30 million unprocessed tax returns in August. That number has declined to around 8.5 million as of mid-September. Staffing woes, added workload, and the crisis have combined for a difficult situation at the Internal Revenue Service. And to make matters worse, 11 million math error letters went out to taxpayers across the United States who were told to repay all or major portions of stimulus checks that were received over the last 18 months. Those letters demanded immediate repayment or consequence of not being able to contest the alleged errors. Then there were the low-level audit letters that went out to millions more. These letters went out to people who filed taxes normally during the spring, but had evolving financial situations. Once again, the IRS demanded immediate action out of these taxpayers, even though the agency did not have the staff to process the backlog it faced. The Internal Revenue Service has been responsible for processing millions of checks between child tax credit payments, traditional tax refunds, and stimulus checks. The biggest hurdle for the agency right now, though, were changes to the tax law as part of the American Rescue Plan. The American Rescue Plan, which was signed into law back in March, it included a $10,200 tax exemption for unemployment benefits in the year 2020. While specifics varied by households, it meant that those who filed taxes ahead of its signing were due an average refund of $1,265. The IRS is also sorting through stimulus checks of $600 and $1,400 payments. These payments, which went out in late 2020 and early 2021, fall into different tax years. It complicated the way some people filed personal income taxes. For the thousands of Americans, the clock is ticking, not only because the money is desperately needed, but because if it's not received by December, it will become part of your 2021 tax return. If the IRS is still contending with stimulus payments, tax refunds, or other items at that point, it will put the existing infrastructure in greater flux.
Speaker Pelosi and I have laid out a path to responsibly pass a continuing resolution to keep the government open and suspend the debt until December of 2022. That is commensurate with the time needed to cover the bipartisan $908 billion emergency relief bill that was supported by 40 Republicans and McConnell. It was passed when Trump was president, when McConnell was leader, with Democratic support. So this debt that we are asking to be spent is all Trump debt, which we supported the spending. But it is Trump debt, not Democratic debt. But Republicans seem intent on driving our country down a dangerous road that leads off a fiscal cliff. Remember, Republicans and Donald Trump added $8 trillion to the national debt in 4 years. And the question that you press always ask is, will McConnell blink? The question is, why is McConnell willing to risk so much in this country to play a political game? I hope you'll ask him that question, because that's the seriousness of this. The Republicans have conjured up the most dishonest and duplicitous arguments to justify the reckless strategy. Two arguments they make. One, they say, well, McConnell says, he comes up with this sophistry, which has no reality and is dishonest. There was a Democratic House, a Democratic Senate, a Democratic President, they should do it. In 2017, there was a Republican House, a Republican Senate, and a Republican President, and McConnell moved to raise the debt ceiling, and we joined him. We could have blocked it. He didn't have 60 votes. So this idea that when the party that's new McConnell, that's McConnellism. And number two, and even worse, it is that
earlier this summer, after the first monthly advanced child tax credit payment was issued, a report published by the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities warned that some 4 million children in low-income households might miss out on the enhanced benefit this year. That is because the IRS is basing eligibility for this year's prepayments on 2020 tax returns. If families did not make enough to file a return or just have not gotten around to it yet, the IRS wouldn't know they were qualified to receive the cash, which could be up to $3,600 per child annually. In fact, in previous years, low-income families or parents without earnings received only a portion of the credit, if any at all. But the rules for the 2021 credit changed to allow more families to qualify, even if they have no income. The Internal Revenue Service has made it easy for non-tax filing families to register online for free by filing a simplified tax return. What's more, when you use a non-filer sign-up tool, the IRS will automatically issue a payment for both the child tax credit and the third stimulus check if you are eligible. Thank you so much, everyone. The IRS has issued more than 169 million payments in the third round of direct stimulus aid, with more than 2 million people in July receiving the $1,400 checks. But some lawmakers are pushing for a fourth round of stimulus aid that would effectively send recurring payments until the crisis ends. And so far, the federal response to the economic crisis caused by this crisis has paid out $3,200 to eligible adults. So far, the federal response to the economic crisis caused by this crisis has paid out $3,200 to eligible adults, $1,200 under the Aid Relief and Economic Security Act back in March 2020, $600 in the December relief measure, and $1,400 under the American Rescue Plan, signed in March by President Biden. Despite the financial assistance, millions of Americans across our nation remain in financial distress. Almost 1/4 of Americans are struggling to pay their household expense, even in the previous week. There were millions of Americans that were spared hardship due to the 3 rounds of stimulus payments. Researchers have found millions of Americans were spared hardship due to the 3 rounds of stimulus payment. But when stimulus has faltered, such as the last fall when Congress was deadlocked on another round of aid, hardship increased markedly in November and December. So everyone, do you agree with me that a fourth round of stimulus payments should be sent out to every single American? Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me here this afternoon. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a very blessed